All right, guys, welcome into my instant reaction here for the conference championship weekend. I'm going to quickly go through every game, recap it, talk about it, and then I will give you guys the full bowl game predictions or at least the New Year's Six predictions based off what has happened. As I'm speaking right now, I think Michigan is up by 9 points, so I'm going to pray that they hold on in that game. I think they will, but either way, guys, going back to the Friday games, it's just a quick recap of some of these games. UTSA over North Texas, they easily cover the 8.5-point spread. Yeah, UTSA has had a great year. I am expecting them to be ranked tomorrow by the College Football Playoff Committee. They certainly deserve it. And they take care of business and they win their conference championship. They're 11-2. Frank Harris, 340 yards, 4 touchdowns. The receiver Franklin, 10 for 144 and 3 touchdowns. Shout out to UTSA. And then, guys, we had the huge game yesterday that made today a lot more stress-free. My goodness. We have Utah beating USC just like I predicted it would happen. I said it was going to be closer than this, but they totally trounced them in the second half after USC takes a 17-3 lead. Caleb Williams gets injured. Caleb Williams, in my opinion, guys, is still winning the Heisman for sure. I just don't see another player there. I said earlier that this would have been such a great year to see a defensive player win the Heisman. It's just there's nobody that stepped up. So Caleb Williams is going to win it. He still had a good game. I mean, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. They could not run the ball at all. So that is another thing. And Utah really just out-physicaled them. Utah's a phenomenal team, man. Utah at this point, I would say a top 8 team. I would rank them inside the top 8. They're really freaking good. If I'm Utah and I'm a Utah fan, it's just that week 1 game, man. That week 1 game ruined their season. It really did. And it's so unfortunate because normally you're not expecting a team like Utah to play a week 1 game on the road, at Florida. It's just kind of how the schedule set up. The 1 year they're going to be really good, they immediately get discarded. But they're a really good team, and they're going to play in the Rose Bowl. They're going to play Penn State. That's a great game. And USC is going to play very likely Tulane in, I believe, the Cotton Bowl. So USC takes a major step down. I think, guys, it was just with USC. They have a massive hole on their defense. I mean, their analytics were horrible. If they would have made the playoffs as a 4 seed, it would have been a pretty ugly sight against Georgia. That's just my opinion. It was going to happen. Utah does it. They essentially knock USC out. Going to the Saturday games earlier today, we had Kansas State beating TCU. Of course, we came into today saying if TCU keeps it close, they're going to be in the playoff. That's exactly what happened. We had Nick Saban, in a desperation attempt, go on the halftime show of the Big Ten championship game and try and say, well, Vegas would have us favored over TCU. And while that's true, I don't think it's comparable. TCU has less losses. They have more wins. They have a better strength of record. And you can't be referencing point spreads. Trust me, I wish I could reference point spreads. Ohio State is basically favorites in every game. Ohio State was 9-point favorites against Michigan. How did that turn out? I love point spreads. I love looking at them, but that can't be a reference. Like, sitting here and saying Alabama would be 8-point favorites over TCU or 10-point, it just doesn't matter. Alabama was 13-point favorites over LSU, and they lost. They were 9-point favorites over Tennessee, and they lost. So you really can't do that, especially when teams don't even have the same record. I mean, TCU has less losses. You can say they play a worse schedule, but I stand by my opinion, and so does 99% of the college football world. TCU does deserve to make the playoffs. Yes, whoever faces them, it's basically a bye, but sometimes this is how seasons happen. You lose too many games, you're going to be out. That's the bottom line. If USC would have won yesterday, this would be a very ugly debate right now. But we're not having it, and I'm thankful, and we're going to let both TCU and Ohio State in. And that's going to be the end of it. So, there were some plays in this game. The refs, I thought they were reviewing everything. Really gusty performance there by TCU and their quarterback. But either way, Kansas State, they're making a New Year's Six bowl. I predicted it in the preseason. I said they were a dark horse, and they end up making it the overtime field goal. We have Toledo winning 17-7. I think one of my bold predictions was both of these teams would score over 40 points. It's almost impossible to be that wrong. What are you going to do? I don't know, man. No, but the problem with this game, Ohio still playing their backup quarterback. So Ohio's starting quarterback is the best quarterback in the MAC. He was out, and Toledo gets the win. So that'll help Ohio State's strength of schedule. We had Troy destroy Coastal Carolina. Grayson McCall making a surprise appearance. I don't know if I just read the news wrong, but I thought I had read somewhere Grayson McCall was out, and then he shows up. The line, dips way low. I think Troy ended up closing -7. They were like -10 at the beginning of the week. It didn't matter. Troy, for whatever reason, has a total offensive explosion. They win 45-26. Congratulations to them. What a season. 11-2. Maybe the AP poll will rank Troy. They deserve a shout. They really do. They deserve a shout out. Fresno State over Boise State. So this was another one that, I said they were 3-point underdogs. They were going to win this game outright. And it wasn't even the offense. It wasn't even the quarterback. It was really the defense against Boise State. And the weird thing is Boise State's been playing really well on offense. They get shut down at home. Guys, I'll just say, when it comes to conference championship games, I know people don't like neutral site games. I think conference championship games should be at neutral sites. What the American does, what the Mountain West does, I don't think it is right. Just personally, I think it should be a neutral site for something like that, where it's the two best teams playing in one extra game at the end of the season. I love the on-campus games for the playoffs and stuff, and that's great, but there's just something, it just seems weird to play it, in my opinion. I don't know. But Fresno State ends up winning. Fresno State at 9-4, I would rank them, certainly. They deserve it, but I doubt they will get ranked. How about this game? My goodness. So Georgia wins 50-30 over LSU. The score was 0-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. LSU was attempting a field goal. You can go look it up. Some crazy stuff happens. Georgia gets a scoop and score because LSU thought the ball was dead when it got blocked. And then Georgia's offense just totally explodes, certainly, on LSU. And then LSU, if Ohio State does end up facing Georgia, the one thing I'll say if you're a Buckeyes fan, there's some optimism about that Georgia secondary. I realize a lot of it was garbage time, but LSU had both of their quarterbacks that they played, both went over 200 yards. Their backup almost had 300 yards. They had 500 yards in total passing. So, there's certainly spots there. It's going to be tough for the Ohio State defense, no doubt. Stetson Bennett is playing so well right now. But if that is the matchup, it will certainly be one that gets really good ratings. Ohio State, Georgia would be totally unbelievable, and it would be in Atlanta, which would be my God, how many games is Georgia going to play in Atlanta? It's half of the season is in Atlanta for Georgia. Next, we have Tulane, and we all could see this coming. So Tulane beats UCF, and kind of just a little not funny, kind of bad. Apparently, UCF's backup quarterback didn't play because he didn't want to burn his eligibility or redshirt or something, in a championship game. That's pretty crazy. But either way, they end up having to go to their third string quarterback. He was like 2 of 8 after Plumlee. Plumlee gets injured every game, it seems like. He got hurt again, I think, or something. But Tulane's offense, really good. Their running back, my God, did he have an unbelievable run, Spears. He needs a shout out. So Tulane, New Year's Six bound. Nobody expected it. Congratulations. How about that win over Kansas State earlier in the year? Both of those teams going to a New Year's Six bowl. You think back like week 2, Tulane beats Kansas State. You think, wow, Kansas State must really suck. No, both of them were actually good teams, and they both make New Year's Six bowl games. It comes full circle. And then we do have, and then we do have the games that are currently going on. If I can go to this, we will first talk about there we go. Michigan just scored another. We'll talk about the Clemson game. So I was not expecting this, but, Clemson ends up going with Cade Klubnik, the true freshman, over DJ Uiagalelei, and Clemson's defense just swarms Drake May, and that North Carolina offense at this point is totally broken. Drake May has had like 4 really bad games. You know what? For Clemson and Dabo Swinney, I want to offer them a one-way trip to the Cheez-It Bowl right here. I'm kidding, guys. They're going to make a New Year's Six Bowl. They're going to face Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. So congratulations to Clemson. I'm sure they'll be starting Cade Klubnik, the superstar true freshman 5-star QB. And North Carolina, they're going to be headed to the Gator Bowl. I don't know where they're going. But, and then obviously the Michigan-Purdue situation right now. I mean, my God, guys, with Fox. So this is the difference between Fox and ESPN. And this is not, listen, I know Fox offers better picture. They got like 4, whatever, the better camera. In both of these games started at 8 o'clock. We've got one game with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter and one game with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Fox has way more commercials. I said it from the beginning. That's why you see these big noon games. It's just so annoying. But guys, that is the situation. We had Georgia winning easily, but it was higher scoring than I thought. We have Michigan very likely winning easily, and we've got Clemson. So guys, what is the actual prediction here? This is all very likely going to happen, and they just freaking kicked me out of the thing. I'm trying to go to the prediction, man. Can I go to it? You can't just kick me out when I was changing apps and I pushed it up. I didn't click out of the entire app. You're supposed to stay on the screen when I go to you. See, now I can't even find the article. No, now they're showing me college basketball. They're showing me college basketball here. No, this is not what I... Oh, hold on. Let me get to it. So here it is, guys. And this is the full updated prediction. So we've got the Peach Bowl, Ohio State and Georgia. And apparently Georgia's around 5-point favorites in that game. So the Peach Bowl is very likely going to be the Ohio State-Georgia game. And then the 2v3 matchup will be Michigan and TCU. TCU right now, 5.5-point underdogs. So do I think that'll change? Do I think they'll mess with it? To be honest, guys, if I was Georgia and if they do put Georgia as the 1 seed, I think there has to be a coming to God moment or something where Georgia's like, listen, if we have the 1 seed, we should choose. Like, we want to face TCU. And this is nothing against TCU, but I'm just saying, if you have the 1 seed, you should be rewarded if they really think that Georgia should be the 1 seed and deserves it. And I'm Georgia, I would say, listen, we want to face TCU. That's who we demand. Both TCU and Ohio State have 1 loss. This is not like a situation where if TCU won today, there's no way you could have Ohio State jump TCU. And then, of course, the other thing is, would they really pass up on the semifinal rematch ratings of the game, which would break multiple records if they actually had a playoff game between Ohio State and Michigan? I don't know. When it comes to Ohio State, they're just lucky to be in. They're happy to be in. Ohio State needs to just be happy they're in. And if they have to face Georgia, as a neutral college football fan, listen, I would take Ohio State to win that game. Because, guys, I know analytics, and the analytics, it's all there. So that is that, and, I think they're going to do the Ohio State-Georgia game and the Michigan-TCU, because I don't know, guys. It's tough because do they want the rematch or not? Normally they say, no, we don't want rematches, but maybe because of the ratings, it's like we can't pass up this opportunity. We can have a rematch and guarantee ourselves an SEC Big Ten National Championship. So that could be the best of both worlds for them, but then you're screwing Michigan. But then if you have, then you're screwing Georgia if you have Georgia face Ohio State. So what do you do? Because either way, one of those teams is getting screwed. They could certainly beat Ohio State, but I'm just saying, and it's nothing against TCU, I'm just saying you would rather face TCU at this point. In my opinion. And then the rest of the New Year's Six game, guys, these are totally set. These are set in stone. Utah, Penn State in the Rose Bowl, unbelievable matchup. That is what the Rose Bowl should be. And that's actually the last game of the bowl season. Normally they put the Sugar Bowl on at like 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, passed out by then. But apparently they're doing the Rose Bowl at 5 o'clock as the last game. The Cotton Bowl looks like it's going to be USC and Tulane. With USC sitting at 6-point favorites. That'll be a good one. Although, will Caleb Williams even play with the injury? I don't know. And then the Sugar Bowl is going to be Kansas State and Alabama. And, of course, we heard, Nick Saban go on, and he was trying to talk in a last-ditch effort to argue it. But I think the most important thing tomorrow will be the seeding of the top 4 teams. Are we going to get that Ohio State-Georgia game? Is Georgia going to be like, listen, and they're going to tell the committee, listen, if we're the 1 seed, we want to face TCU. We've earned the right to choose. You can't make us face Ohio State when they both have 1 loss and we want to face TCU. I would understand if TCU was undefeated, but if they both have 1 loss, they're comparable, and you could move Ohio State in front of TCU to benefit Georgia, because technically you should benefit the number 1 overall seed. Or maybe they're just saying, you know what, we're not doing that. We don't take requests, and listen, Michigan would get screwed if they have to face Ohio State. And then if they beat Ohio State, they have to face Georgia. But then Michigan gets a bye to the national title if they face TCU. And this is not, I'm not trying to, badmouth TCU. I like TCU. I think TCU, it could keep it close against Michigan, for sure. For sure. But I don't see them winning. So Kansas State and Alabama. Alabama's going to be very unmotivated. Kansas State, wow, that's a major opportunity for them with Bryce Young possibly sitting out. And then the Orange Bowl will be Clemson and Tennessee. So there were a lot of angry Tennessee fans at Ohio State. The Buckeyes came out and said, listen, we're not playing in the Rose Bowl. We're sick of it. And I 100% agreed with them that would be dumb. You don't want to play in the Rose Bowl. But then it would have knocked out Tennessee, and they got pissed. But it's looking like Tennessee will be in the Orange Bowl. And I do think, based on precedent, I would like to see Tennessee moved in front of Alabama. I understand why they're not doing it because of the injury to Hendon Hooker. But if neither of these teams are making the playoff, they played an epic game. One team won, the other team lost. They both have the same record. Let's put the team that won in front of the team that lost, because it was an epic game and it deserves to, see something. And then there's some other bowls. I'm not going to go over all this. The Cheez-It Bowl, LSU and Purdue. Any takers on that? But so guys, that is going to do it. We have the playoff games. We're going to have all the bowls that get released tomorrow. The show, I wish it was a little bit earlier. You've got the show at noon and then the NFL starts at 1. So really, I'll be paying attention to both of them. There's going to be videos and stuff on the bowls and an instant reaction, and then there'll be the major bowl predictions on Monday in a 2-part video where I'll do part 1. It'll be the first half, and then part 2 will be the New Year's 6 bowls and things like that, because it's a lot to predict. But overall, guys, Michigan, Big Ten champions. Congratulations to them. Kansas State, Big 12 champions. Toledo wins the MAC. We've got Troy winning the Sun Belt, possibly getting ranked at 11-2. We have Georgia winning the SEC, and we have Tulane winning the American. Fresno State wins the Mountain West, and then Clemson ends up winning the ACC and finishing undefeated in the ACC. They lost 2 non-conference games, Clemson did, to Notre Dame and South Carolina. So I thought that was interesting to see. I was like, wow, they're like 10-0 now in conference. Or is that seriously what are they 10-0 in conference or 9-0? If they're 11-2, because I don't do math or anything like that. So either way, guys, I think it's pretty cut and clear at this point. I don't know if they're going to try and drum up hype. I think the only hype would be, do you try and mess with it? Do you maybe try and make the rematch? But that would screw Michigan, and it looks like Michigan is playing well. Purdue is driving right now. Maybe if Purdue comes back, listen, I'm a Purdue fan. Now they're not going to come back. But either way, the matchups, the playoff matchups, it's Ohio State versus Georgia in Atlanta. Georgia will certainly have the crowd advantage, and then it will be Michigan versus TCU out west. And I do wonder, it is weird, guys, because you think about the time slots. you're going to want that Ohio State-Georgia game on primetime. Let's not kid ourselves. But would they really make Michigan and TCU start at 1 p.m. Pacific? Think about it. If the playoff time spots are 4 and 8, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you're not putting Michigan and TCU on primetime, so you're putting them on at 4, which is 1 o'clock Arizona time. That would be a horrible environment. Oh my goodness. But if I'm a Michigan fan, I like that. You want to play just a boring environment, things like that. So I don't know what they're going to do, guys. But either way, it'll be interesting because they have to put the Ohio State-Georgia. Ohio State and Georgia is the Mona Lisa. It is the box office. It is the breaking matchup. And after looking through all the analytics, guys, there is major value on Ohio State +5. It is crazy. This is all analytics. This is all numbers. It's all data. And it's like I say with Utah, and I said, listen, they're going to win outright. Everyone was on USC. Fresno State, they're going to win outright. I mean, it's crazy with the data. It'll tell you who's going to win. It's unbelievable. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.